years of experience in research and 19 years of experience in teaching. His knowledge in cancer biology, medical plant research, clinical biochemistry. He has guided 10 MPhil scholars and currently guiding 4 PhD scholars. He has published 21 articles in national and international journals. He received Best Proficiency Award and Best Representation Award. He has been qualified in CHIR, NET, and SMJ and various other milestones ahead. Now, this session will be handed to Dr. J. Jayaprakash. We invite you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all. The topic for this lecture is plant secondary metabolites, which is derived from the plants, which is known as phytochemicals. I am Dr. Jayaprakash, Head PG and Research Department of Biochemistry, Raja Sarabhaji Government College, Tanjavur. You know that it is dominated with plants. It is estimated that about 250,000 to 5 lakh species of plants on the earth. Recently, 10,000 of these plants are used as food and as medicines by humans and other living things. You know, phyto means plant in Greek, and chemicals, it is derived, or the chemicals derived from the plants, which is name derived from the Greek. This slide shows the classification of phytochemicals, which is broadly classified into alkaloids, polyphenols, terpenes, organosulfur compounds. And these polyphenols, again, is one of the major classification of plant components. Again, classified into lignins, flavonoids, phenolic acids, and stilbenes. These flavonoids, you know, it's a wide variety of compounds in flavonoids. It is again subclassified into chalcones, flavones, flavonols, flavonones, isoflavonoids, and isoflavones. So coming to the possible effects of the phytochemicals and the food where it is present, if we take terpenes, its possible effect is antioxidant activities. It is present in red, orange, green vegetables, and carotenoids. It has the anti-cancer activity. It is present in all yellow and orange vegetables. Beta-carotene, you know that it's the best antioxidant, also anti-cancer agent, which is present in carrot and other vegetables. Phytosterols, it has anti-cancer activity. It is present in nuts, seeds, green and yellow vegetables. And phenols, it lowers inflammation, and also it has anti-cancer activity, and it lowers blood pressure, and it also controls allergy. And it is phenols, very good compounds to fight against viruses and tumors. Where it is present in citrus fruits, berries, and also some of the important fruits. Coming to isoflavones, it has anti-cancer property, and it prevents osteoporosis. It is present in soybean, beans, legumes. And thiols is one of the important compounds in onions and garlic, which is having the anti-cancer property, and also it involves in liver detoxification. So this is the again the subclassification of polyphenols, and this is the slide. This slide shows what is primary and what is secondary metabolites. So primary metabolites, as the name implies, the metabolites is derived from the plant itself. So these primary metabolites examples are mainly the biomolecules, which is present in all the plants and animal kingdom, carbohydrate, proteins, nucleic acids, and major prosthetic groups, which is present in the protein part. And this primary metabolites is mainly involved in growth and development of any organisms that is in the plants. But coming to the secondary metabolites, these secondary metabolites, as the name implies, it is derived from the primary metabolites. It take part in ecological functions. Mainly the secondary metabolites, it has defensive action, and that is for the plants. And these secondary metabolites, it is responsible for adding color, flavor, and aroma to the plants. And these secondary metabolites, sometimes it is bitter in taste, sometimes it is sweet in taste. But the secondary metabolites only, it is useful for the health of the human beings. Now this secondary metabolites, it plays an important role in the health and development of human being. and it is used for preparing the medicines. So this is primary and secondary metabolites. So this slide shows how the interaction between the primary and secondary metabolites. As we know, this secondary metabolites, it depends from microorganisms and depends from herbivores and the attraction of pollinators. That is mainly insects, birds, and bats. And the secondary metabolites, it has some of the toxic and pharmacological effects. And this slide shows how these phytochemicals derived from. We know the photosynthetic pathway. In that pathway, carbohydrate, it is converted, it enters into pentose phosphate pathway, and carbohydrate enters into glycolysis and pyruvic acid, and through pyruvic acid, it converted into acetyl-CoA. And this HMP pathway, otherwise known as pentose phosphate pathway, it is entering into a cyclic acid pathway through which we are getting aromatic amino acid. This aromatic amino acid is converted into nitrogen containing secondary metabolites. So among the secondary metabolites, the nitrogen containing secondary metabolites is alkaloids. So it has nitrogen in its compound. And the phenolic compounds, it is converted into lignins, tannins, and quinones. So this is how these secondary metabolic compounds derived from the plants, that is from the photosynthesis. This overall pictures illustrates the various benefits or uses of the phytochemicals. Phytochemicals may be used as antioxidant, and it is involved in muscular pigments. It has anti-inflammatory property, anti-thromogenic property, anti-cholesterogenic property, anti-hyperglycemic property, anti-hypertensive property. And it is also involved in the relieving of many diseases. There is diabetes, hypertension, visual function, cancer, dementia. This dementia is memory loss, cataract, and age-related muscular degeneration. Osteoporosis is loss of calcium and phosphorus from the bone, and inflammation, metabolic syndrome, and cardiovascular diseases. So all these diseases, the secondary metabolites are playing an important role. So what is the mechanism of the secondary metabolites? How it is given for the treatment of all these diseases? Say for example, these secondary metabolites, it may covalently bind with the proteins and DNA bases, example terpenes. Sometimes non-covalently binding with the proteins, example polyphenols. Sometimes these secondary metabolites interacts with biomembrane. Best example is saponin and ergosterol. And some of the secondary metabolites, it may interact with nucleic acids. Best example is cyanosin and also berberine. And this secondary metabolites sometimes acting as an antioxidant property. The best classical example is phenolic compounds. So this is summary of the secondary metabolites classification. Phenolic compound is flavonoid. Terpenoids is herbiterpenes, carotenoids. Alkaloids are nitrogen-containing compounds. Among the secondary metabolites, only one compound is having nitrogen, that is alkaloids. Cyanogenetic compounds and glucosamides, non-proteinogenic compounds, and toxic peptides. So among these compounds, we will focus only on flavonoids. There are so many compounds, that is anthocyanin and polyphenols and all these things. So among that, we are discussing, we are main focus on flavonoids. There are about more than 4,000 different flavonoids. And these flavonoids again classified into flavones, flavonols, and isoflavones. It is present, all these flavonoids present in onion, there is all vegetables, broccoli, soybean, tomatoes, and apple, and cranberry, and also tea. It has rich content of flavonoids. And these flavonoids are also important plant pigments for giving there is color to the plant, producing yellow, sometimes red color, sometimes blue pigmentation in petals, designed to attract pollinator animals. In higher plants, flavonoids are involved in UV filtration, symbiotic nitrogen fixation, and also for floral pigmentation, and sometimes they act as a chemical messenger, physiological regulators, and also cell cycle inhibitors. Coming to sources, various sources of these flavonoids. Best example, first one is apple. This apple, there is one saying is that is ஒரு ஆப்பிள் சாப்பிட்டோம்னா நம்ம டாக்டர்கிட்டே போக தேவையில்லை அப்படின்ட்டு. So apple, it has a good source of this flavonoid. Is one of the important compound present in apple is quercetin. So you know there is quercetin. It's a familiar name. Quercetin is a flavonoid that enables apples to keep the doctor away. And this quercetin is responsible to reduce cancer risk and also prevent heart attack, and also controls cataract, asthma, and also gout syndrome, and also healing acid reflux. And green tea, you know that it has a richest source of this flavonoid compound. Taking green tea, it treats many diseases in human beings. So green tea contains this one of the important compound, epicatechin chalate, that is ECGC. That compound, it fights against cancer. Chocolate, it is it has more amount of flavonoids, which is mainly there is dark chocolate, darker chocolate. It has more amount of flavonoid. And red wine, it is also rich in flavonoid. And pomegranates juice, it has three times the antioxidant potency of equal volume of green tea and red wine. And tea, you know that it has many number of flavonoids. One of the compound is epigenin. It is found in tea, which has anxiety properties. So coming to isoflavones, so isoflavones are coming under a flavonoid compound. It is similar to the female hormone estrogen. It is mainly found in soybean and grains, berries, and seeds and vegetables. Many flavonoids have been reported as cancer preventive activity. For example, consuming apple, onions, which are the main sources of flavonol quercetin, it can reduce the incidence of breast cancer, prostate cancer, stomach cancer, and lung cancer. This slide depicts the various biological functions of flavonoids. It delays and prevents the onset of diseases. It inhibits LDL oxidation. It's the best antioxidant, anti-inflammatory property, antiviral property, and it reduces blood pressure. It inhibits the platelet aggregation. Again, the different types of flavonoids: flavonols, flavontriols, flavonones, and anthocyanin. And these are the sources, for flavonols: onion, apple, and tomatoes, like this. And the flavontriols, again apple, banana. And flavones, that is parsley and apples, again apple, oranges. And flavonones, oranges, grapefruits, lemon, tomato. Anthocyanin, blueberries, bananas, and strawberries. This flavone, coming to the structure of this flavonones, it has many OH group. This is coming under all these flavonoid compound coming under polyphenol. So what is polyphenol? That is, it has more number of OH group. This OH functional group, it is responsible for the antioxidant property and the healing property of this flavonoid compound. This flavonones, it has two OH group, and the flavonols, it has three OH group. And anthocyanins, it has again 4 OH group. All these OH group are responsible for healing property. And isoflavones, it has 1 OH group, but at the ring, it has 1 ketone group. So this isoflavones, it is used to treat some of the symptoms of menopause, and also it prevents bone loss, that is osteoporosis. And how much amount of flavonoids we can consume? That is, as the data says, that is for children, they should take 19.5 milligram to 26.56 milligram per person. As far as the adults are concerned, 18.8 to 28.9 milligrams per person. And for personal consumption for children, it is 0.179, 0.39 milligrams, adults 0.5 to 309.7 milligrams. And if you take pomegranate, two compounds are present. There is galactic acid and punicalin. These compounds, it has antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. This is C6 and C3 compounds. There is 6 carbon and also 3 carbon compounds. Best examples are camaric acid, capic acid, and ferulic acid. This is the skeleton of the flavanone and flavanol. All these compounds, it is derived from the parent compound flavan. So coming to flavanone, it has absence. It has absence of bonds. That is in carbon 2 and 3. It is rich in the peel of citrus fruits. Flavones. But it is not widely distributed. It is very low. It is present in mainly there is green vegetables like celery and parsley, like the vegetables, and it is mainly the examples are for flavones is epigenin and luteolin. Coming to flavonols, it is widespread. It is present in all food items, and it is accumulated in skin and leaves. It always in the form of glycosylated conjugate. The best examples are onion, apple, mango, and grapes. Flavin 3-ols, that is a third carbon atom, it has OH group. All these most common flavonoid consumed in America, it is in American and also in Western diet. It is abundantly present in apricots, sour berries, and grapes and blackberries. And barley is the only common cereal. Dark chocolate, it's a rich source of this flavin 3-ols. Anthocyanin. This anthocyanin is a colored pigment that is maybe red color, blue color, and purple color. It is mainly present in skin of the fruit items. There are six types of A-glycans, that is anthocyanin, present in food items. So this picture shows the different color and flavor of anthocyanin: blackberry, blueberry, and grapes, potato, that is purple potato, red cabbage. All this is coming under anthocyanins. And isoflavones, it has one keto group, and it has B ring attached to third carbon. Isoflavone, where it is present mainly in leguminous plants. This is grape, best source of flavonoids. Around 50 different types of flavonoids is present in grape. It reduces the heart attack, and also it is reducing the level of LDL, that is low density lipoprotein. Best antioxidant also. So this is Allium sativum and Allium ceiba. This is garlic and onion. They are sulfur-containing flavonoids. It has anti-cancer property and antimicrobial property. Not only for that, it has anti-atherosclerosis property and anti-hypertensive property. So coming to the medicinal plants, there is flavonoids. Type of flavonoids is first part is over. So coming to medicinal plants. So medicinal plants, it constitute the effective source in traditional and modern medicines. We know 80% of the population depends on the plants, as per the WHO says in 2005. And how we can extract the main components from the plants. So extraction is the separation of medically active proportions of plants tissues using solvents. So what are the factors affecting the plant extraction? That is first is plant part is used. That is leaf or root, and the solvent we used chloroform, ethanol. and the extraction procedure. These three factors affecting the extraction of plant. Choice of solvent is very important. So when we extract some important compound from the plant, we should be very careful while adding the solvents. So the solvent property, it is based on the following factor: low toxicity, and that is evaporation, and also absorption of the extract and preservative action. And other factors affecting the choice of solvent: quantity of phytochemicals used, rate of extraction, ease of handling process, toxicity of solvent, and potential hazard of the extractant. So these factors should be kept in mind while we are preparing the extract from the medicinal plants. So, say for example, when we use water, we can extract anthocyanin, starch, and tannin. And when we use ethanol, we can extract tannin, polyphenol. When we use methanol, anthocyanin, terpenoids, and for chloroform, terpenoids, flavonoids, ether, alkaloids, terpenoids, and acetone, phenol, isoflavonol, there is flavonols. So each and every compound, it has separation capacity in different solvents. So what are the techniques used for that is medicinal plant techniques used for medicinal plant extraction? That is tissue homogenization, maceration, infusion, percolation, digestion, decoction, and Soxhlet extraction, and ultrasound extraction. So what is homogenization? That is dry or wet part or fresh part of the plant or grinded in a blender. That is tissue homogenization. And after that we add solvent, and it is kept for 5 to 10 minutes or 24 hours after the extract is filtered, and the filtrate is dried, and we can use it as a plant constituent. So coming to maceration, what is maceration? The whole or powder part is drug is placed on a container, and we add solvent and allow it to for room temperature for at least 3 days, and then it is filtered. This after filtration we can get the clear component after decantation and after the long time standing. So infusion is the fresh infusion are prepared by dipping the leaves or root part or macerating the extract for a short period of time in a cold or boiling water. This is infusion. The digestion is also a type of extraction procedure that is in which the heat is applied. When we increase the temperature, that is sometimes the components will not be extracted. So we should be very careful while we are controlling the temperature part in digestion. Decoction, we know this is the drug is boiled in a specific volume of water, that is 1:4 ratio, and volume is again reduced to 1/4 of the original, and it is cooled and filtered. So this is decoction. Soxhlet extraction, you know, this is the crude drug is placed in a bag or in a filter paper bag, which is placed in a Soxhlet apparatus, and the extract is then the heat is applied, and the vapors condense in a condenser. The condensed extract it is dipped into the container which has the crude drug. So this diagram illustrates the process of working condition of Soxhlet apparatus. And sonication, what is sonication? Is ultrasound. We are giving the ultrasound ranging from 20 kilohertz to 2000 kilohertz. So it increases the permeability of cell walls and also produces cavitation, that is porosity. So after separating the compounds, we are going to phytochemical screening, that is by qualitative assay. That is alkalides. You know that Wagner's test, Meyer's test, Dragontopp's test, and the flavonoids, ammonium test, tannins, perichlorate test, phenolic acid, gelatin test, sulfonins, foam test, and terpenoids, Salkov test, carbohydrate test, Mollis test, spelling test, proteins, biuret test, and glycosides, legal test. So after that, the qualitative assay. So what you're going to do, there is quantitative assay. So in that quantitative assay, the phenolic compound can be measured by Folin-Cialcalti method. We can use the UV visible spectrophotometer at 765 nanometer. When we coming to the flavonoid compound estimation, again it is colorimetric method. That is UV visible spectrophotometer. The nanometer in range of 415 nanometer. You can choose or you can give minor project to the students. That is how to screen and quantify the total phenol flavonoid which is present in the plant. That is Synopsis plant. That is a seed part, and how to conclude and how to get the results. So objectives: to screen the presence of phytochemicals and estimate the amount of phenols and flavonoids in Synopsis. So Synopsis seed, we can wash it and dry it and powder it by using a mechanical method. So after that powder material, it is weighed and it is subjected to succinate extraction. We can use methanol, acetone, chloroform, and hexane extract. After 48 hours, it is recovered by vacuum evaporator and it is subjected to phytochemical screening. Again, we can go for qualitative and quantitative estimation. That is qualitative, that is all the components, carbohydrates, saponin, terpenes, cardiac glycoside, protein, amino acids, and quantitative, total phenolic compound and total flavonoid compound. So the results should be presented like this. That is all the secondary metabolites in one column and name of the test and whether it is present or not. If it is present, we should put plus. If it is absent, put minus. If it is present, more quantity, we have to indicate by putting 2 plus plus. Plus plus means it indicates more amount of compound present. 1 plus means it indicates presence of compound. So likewise, we can give the results for qualitative phytochemical screening of compound. So coming to quantitative analysis, methanol, acetone, chloroform, hexane, how much amount of phenol content we got and how much amount of flavonoid content we got from the 200 milligram of the extract. Say for example, in methanol extract, 14.51 milligram of the phenolic compound. Flavonoid compound, 17.34 milligram. Likewise, acetone, if we take acetone solvents, 9.17 milligram of this phenolic compound and 8.75 milligram of the flavonoid compound. So likewise, we can give the interpretation. So after the student has taken the experiments, they can conclude the study indicated that methanol is used as a best solvent for extraction of phytochemicals. Other solvents like chloroform, acetone, hexane are less commonly used for extraction of phytochemicals. The herbal extract can be used for curing diseases without any side effect. So likewise, you can give the students can give conclusion. That is for minor projects. If we take any extraction and purification of phytochemical, these are the steps to be followed. So what are the steps to be followed? First is phytochemical analysis. That is first qualitative and go for quantitative, and phytochemical compound identifications by these methods, namely UV visible spectroscopy, FTIR. That is FTIR is for functional group identification, and TLC and HPLC, that is for active compound separation, GCMS for various compound identification and their with this molecular weight, NMR If needed, they can use it. That is for MSc and MPhil project, it is not required. If you go for any PhD work, you can do the NMR. And after that, that is recently they are doing molecular in silico dogging, so it supports the GCMS report. These are the pictures of some of the instruments used in all life science and biological laboratory. EV visible spectrophotometer, that is ordinary thing without software. It cost about 1 lakh. With this software, 2 to 3 lakhs. And FTIR nearly about 10 lakhs. This is a picture of HPLC. Its cost is approximately 10 lakhs. GCMS, all these instruments are available in centralized laboratory like Pondicherry, CCMB, the central universities, centralized laboratory. We have all these facilities. GCMS, it is costing about 1 crore with software, and NMR, it's very costly. So this is some of the important pictures which is involved in phytochemical extraction process. So before conclude my talk, so this is I want to discuss the healthy food pyramid. So what are the food styles we have to follow? We should take more amount of vegetables. After vegetables, we should take fruits. After that, seeds, nuts, and it is about 10 to 40%. And 10% is from the egg, fish, and other dairy products. And rarely, it is less than 10%, we should take sweet and other processed food items. So this is the healthy food pyramid for all the persons to maintain the healthiness. Healthy eating is a sign of self-esteem and self-respect. Food, FOOD, F means fruits and vegetables, O meant for organic natural proteins, O meant for omega fatty acid, and D meant for drink more water. Don't eat less, eat right. Eat real food, feel real good. When food is wrong, medicine is of no use. When food is correct, medicine is of no need. So this is important quotations. I got it from the net. It is for presentation. So we know the 2 months lockdown period. So we had the experience to take more amount of green leafy vegetables and also phytochemicals. And doctors, Siddha doctors advised us to take many herbal medicines with combinations, lemon and orange. And day before yesterday, they advised to take more amount of zinc and lemon. So when we go for shopping, instead of getting junk fruits and all these unwanted items, you should buy the fruits and vegetables rich in all these phytochemicals, which fight against the viruses, mainly coronaviruses. Mainly, we should prefer the colored food items like purple colored red cabbage, and also strawberries, blueberries, lemon, and papaya, which has more amount of zinc, and also the cranberries and all these colored items, orange color food items like carrot. These food items, it has more amount of antioxidants. Along with that, if we add the fruits like citrus fruits like lemon, so we can boost our immune systems. So whenever we are going for the shopping, please look after these colored food items and green leafy vegetables prefer these vegetables and colored food items to fight against any viruses, not only coronavirus. For any viruses, we can easily boost our immune system. Okay, so my first part is about regarding the phytochemicals, and second part is regarding how to extract the phytochemicals from the plants. Thank you for all the participants and also for the organizing team. Thank you very much.
Sir, Rajeshwari sir. Hello, sir.
Yes. Tell me more.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable presentation, sir.
Thank you very much.
Some of there, sir. That will be passed to you, sir. Hello.
Yes. Okay.
Is there any solvent to isolate and purify flavonoids?
Yes, madam. There are so many, even ethanol and methanol. So they are good solvents for isolating the flavonoid compound. We can use the normal methanol and ethanol. It depends based on the nature of the plant. We can use these two things, methanol and ethanol.
Okay, sir. The next question.
Next question, madam.
Is excess uptake of flavonoids have negative effects?
Yes. Yes, madam. Anything excess is harmful. தமிழ்லே சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல, அளவுக்கு மீறினால் அமிர்தமும் நஞ்சு அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி, that is anything excess is harmful. So that's what the World Health Organization and FDA also recommends what is the optimum level of the flavonoids, phenolic compounds to be taken, not only for children, for also for adults and old aged people.
So the next question.
Yes, madam.
How much efficient phytochemicals are found in mushroom? What are the important phytochemicals in mushroom?
Yes, madam. That is a very good question. This mushroom, it has all the phytochemicals, that is flavonoid, phenolic compound, all these phytochemicals. And during the coronavirus infection also, they said eat mushroom, more amount of mushroom to boost the immune system. Actually, the flavonoid and phenolic compound present in mushroom, and not only that, the vitamin D is mainly available in the mushroom. Vitamin C, small amount of vitamin C is also available in mushroom. So all these combinations will work out to fight against this virus, coronavirus. Not only coronavirus, and all the viruses. So mushroom, it has more amount of flavonoid and phenolic compound, along with that vitamin D and vitamin C.
So the next question.
Yes, madam.
How do phytochemicals prevent cancer?
Yes, again, a very simple question and a nice question also. These phytochemicals, so what is cancer? Actually, it's a mutated form of cell, abnormal growth of the cell. So what these phytochemicals will do is that this flavonoid, if you take flavonoid, this flavonoid compound, it interacts with the DNA of the cell, and it interacts with the DNA molecule, and it prevents the proliferation of the cancer cell. Once it stops the proliferation or multiplication of the cell, that is cancer cell, the growth of cancer cell will stop. So this is the mechanism. And not only this flavonoid, all the phytochemicals, it has the capacity to arrest the cell division of the cells, that is abnormal cells, say for example cancer cell. So by inhibiting the cell division pathway, and also it increases the apoptotic nature of the cancer cell, it inhibits the cancer growth. So this is the mechanism. So along with that, there are some other mechanism, anti-inflammatory activity. Some plants, it has anti-inflammatory activity. Some plants, it has antimicrobial property. Some plants are having immunomodulatory property. Some plants it has immune boosting activity. So all these synergistic activity are very important to contract the or to fight with any type of cancer. It's not a single mechanism. At least 4 or 5 different types of mechanism. All these combine together to fight against cancer.
So the next question,
Yes, madam.
is there any possibility for corona drug from plant origin?
A very difficult question. This should be asked from. This should be asked from the actually scientist. Actually, it is given. You know that there are so many research are going on to find out the active compounds to fight with viruses, coronavirus. Not only coronaviruses, it's a family of virus. There are so many viruses from the coronavirus. And next year they are telling again one more coronavirus with another name, COVID-19, COVID-20, COVID-21. Why not? COVID-22. So likewise, there are so many viruses will be living with us. That is, they are telling. And when we talk about the plants, we can find out the medicines. For example, dengue also there is no treatment till now, we know. And plague also there is no treatment. So best prophylactic medicines they are giving, Nilavembu Suranam, all these things. And nowadays, that is in Tamil Nadu and in Kerala and in India. So what is the treatment is going on? That is for corona patient. That is, there is no drug for corona patient. They are giving only that is hydroxychloroquine. But hydroxychloroquine again is not a correct drug for coronavirus. But news report and all these hospitals, government hospitals, they are telling 20 patients are cured and 40 patients are being cured. How is it possible? That is, only thing is to increase the immunity of the particular human being. If we increase the immunity or immune power, this coronavirus, it will disappear, automatically disappear. For boosting the immunity, they are giving lemon, ginger, and this Nilavembu and pepper. All this turmeric, along with turmeric. So these three things are prepared as a juice, like kasayam. They are giving for the patient 3 times. So what they are doing after 10 days or 7 days, incubation period is coronavirus is 14 days. So when they are giving the treatment for 14 days, what will happen? The immunity will boost up in all the patients. So after 14 days, what will happen? The body itself, it is producing IgG. You know, one of the major immunoglobulin which fight against any disease. So after 14 days, automatically the IgG level it will increase. நம்ம உடம்புல அதுவே பார்த்துக்குது அந்த ஐஜிசி ஆன்டிபாடிஸ். ஸோ த பாடி இட் செல்ஃப் it recovers from the virus, anything, coronavirus and all these things. So 14 daysக்கு அப்புறம் ஐஜிஜி இருக்கிறதுனால, உடம்புல இருக்கிறதுனால அவங்கள நீங்கள் வந்து வீட்டுக்கு போகணும்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. ஸோ அதுதான் மெயின் திங். ஸோ இதுதான் இப்போ இந்த கொரோனா வைரஸ் நடந்துட்டு இருக்குது. ஸோ வெரி சூன், why not allopathy? From herbal medicines, they will find out many discoveries and many drugs from medicinal plants. That is one of the report yesterday says it is drug from any allopathic or chemical synthetic drugs. It is harmful. That is, we know that it has many side effects. But when we take medicinal plants, it has no side effects. That's the main thing. So for all the, we take from plague and also for all the pandemic diseases and for dengue, till date, that is for coronaviruses, there is no treatment. But they have, Siddha medicine is giving a very good solution to increase the immune response or immunity power to the patients. That's what in Tamil Nadu and Kerala and other states of India, many people are recovering from this coronavirus when we compare with other foreign countries. Yes, madam.
Thank you, sir. The next question.
Yes, ma'am.
Extraction and purification cost of phytochemicals is high.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
how much fold of purification is necessary for it to be get commercialized?
Oh, again, it is a industrially oriented question. Okay, very nice, madam. Actually, to get a compound and to market the compound in the industry, it is not very easy. And all these instruments, it is for starting from colorimeter, UV visible spectrophotometer, GCMS, NMR, and also FTIR. All these instruments are not available in all simple laboratories. Even in universities itself, these instruments are not available. Only Pondicherry, the centralized laboratory, that is, as I told you, IISc Bangalore and also CCMB and Pondicherry Central University, these instruments are available. If you go for industry, all these instruments, definitely they'll have all these type of instruments. So each and every step they have to spend money, and each and every step they have to the drug should be subjected to QC, that is quality control. After the confirmation whether the drug is having good activity in animal model, that is mice and rat model, and after that it has to subjected to human trial, and after successful completion in the human trial, it has been given to the market. So when it is coming to market, so it should, the drug, it should have some possible effects, not only in human, also in animal model. So it takes time. Not only it's time consuming, it is highly expensive, definitely. Yes, ma'am.
The next question.
Yes.
If aim is to extract anti-cancer phytochemicals, then what would be the best solvent that you would suggest?
That is preparation and selection of solvent. It's a very, very critical thing. I mean, it is not easy to select solvent. எனக்கு பிடிச்சதுன்னு சொல்றதுனால methanol, ethanol, we can't suggest. Some compounds, that is some phytochemicals from a particular plant, it will be extracted in the methanol. But some plants, it will be extracted in methanol, chloroform, and some phytochemicals, it's not available in all these things, this methanol, ethanol, and chloroform. But some phytochemicals, it will be extracted in chloroform and hexane. So there are nearly about 10 different types of organic solvent. So among the 10 organic solvents, we have to give a trial. First, we have to standardize from which solvent we are getting more number of phytochemicals. So we can choose methanol, ethanol, chloroform, hexane, and chloroform, and hydroxychloroform, and all these solvents we can use it. And among solvents, we can choose the best one among the, based on the qualitative and also for the quantitative assay. So selection of particular solvent, it's not very easy. It should be subjected to trial manner, and also it should be standardized in each and laboratory, and also it depends on the type of the study we are going to do.
Sir,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
next question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Which nanoparticle is best for the delivery of phytochemicals for anti-cancer site-directed delivery?
Oh, nanoparticles not only for phytochemicals. These nanoparticles can deliver any type of drug. It is not necessarily the plant-based phytochemicals. Any drug can be targeted by using nanoparticles. And as far as my point of view, I can prefer liposome-mediated nanoparticles. And the nanoparticle which is produced from the herbal plants, that is golden nanoparticles and zinc nanoparticles, we can prepare easily from the plant particles. So we can try zinc, copper, and gold nanoparticle from the plant material, and we can prepare a drug from this, and we can give these nanoparticles directly to the animal model and then to the human model. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
The
madam.
next question:
Yes.
how the in silico docking report docking supports GCMS report?
Yes, again, very good question, madam. Actually, GCMS, when we run for GCMS, there is chromatography along with mass spectrometry. We are getting approximately 30 to 40 compounds, approximately. So among 30 to 40 compounds, we should not focus on all these 30 to 40 compounds. We should focus only on two or three compounds. Say, for example, your focus is on anti-cancer property. Among 40 different compounds in GCMS, you select one or two anti-cancer compounds among 40 compounds, which is given in GCMS. So among the two compounds, you find out the correct match in the bioinformatics part, that is in silico docking study, and where on the binding part where it is binding to ligand. So among the two drug compounds, you just choose ligands, particular ligand which binds with the these particles. So these phytochemicals binds with ligand, and how it is binding, in which amino acid is binding, and among which two amino acids it is binding with the phytochemicals. So the binding valency and binding intensity is given through this in silico dogging, and also not only that, and which part of the drug is binding with the amino acid is also given in that in silico dogging. So by doing that in silico dogging in bioinformatics, we come to the conclusion that this phytochemical, it has anti-cancer property. So one of the supporting evidence for GCMS and also for our study also. Yes, madam.
So the next question:
Yes.
please clarify the stability and storage requirements of extracted compounds.
Yes. And extracted compound, when we extract the compound, methanol, ethanol, and all these compounds, it is aqueous compounds, it has no storage capacity. It is storage labile. It is not storage stable if we choose aqueous water solution. So it leads to contamination. If we choose organic solvents like methanol, chloroform, hexane, and the combination of chloroform and the methanol, ethanol, all these combinations, if we take these organic solvents, it has more stability when we store it. We can store these solvents, extracted solvents, at least for 2 to 3 days. But after 2 to 3 days, it should be evaporated and to get dry form of the powder. And after 2 to 3 days, it is a waste. And if you are going to start other experiments, we should prepare the extract freshly. So my advice is to prepare the solvent extract and keep it for at least 2 or 3 days. Use it, evaporate it, and get powder. After that, it is no use. If you start the next plant, next phytochemical, do it freshly. So whatever it may be. So the stability, it is only for 2 to 3 days. Yes, madam.
So the next question: For using phytochemicals, is it necessary to know the structure of bacteria?
Structure of what, madam?
Bacteria.
Oh, structure of bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, structure of bacteria it's not required, madam. It's not needed. For antimicrobial, now the students and researchers are doing antimicrobial property. In antimicrobial property, what they are doing is they're taking the phytochemicals and they are checking the antimicrobial property in a disk manner. So structure of bacteria is not required, but whether the genome of the viruses or microbes is required. RNA virus,
Sir, the next
single strand RNA virus. So likewise, the genome of the organism should be specified, whether it is DNA or RNA. So the structure of bacteria is not required as far as the plants and bugs are concerned. Only genome is only genome part we should consider, whether it's RNA or DNA. Yes, madam.
Sir, the
Next question,
sir.
madam. Yes.
How flavonoids inhibit the cell cycle? In which phase it acts?
It's not clear, madam. Yes, madam.
How flavonoids inhibit the cell cycle? In which phase it acts?
Oh, flavonoids. When it enters into cell cycle, it actually all these flavonoids, it has the capacity to interact with the DNA or RNA part, and sometimes the protein part of the any viruses or any organisms. This flavonoid, when it enters into the cell part, say for example, cancer cell, it enters into the cell part and it arrests the apoptotic pathway of the cell, and moreover it interacts with the DNA and the protein part of the particular cells, that is dangerous cells, and it arrests the action. So not only that, as I told you already, this flavonoids not only single mechanism, it has a number of 3 or 4 mechanisms. That is, for example, anti-immunomodulating properties. There is immunomodulating properties and anti-inflammatory properties. So 2 or 3 properties, they combine together and stop the reaction. We cannot specify the single mechanism for any plant species or any flavonoids, because flavonoids and phenolic compound, all these are a variety of actions, not a single action. Yes, ma'am.
Next question, sir.
Yes.
Can you list out any natural preservatives for preparing herbal lotion?
For preparing?
Herbal lotion.
Oh, any preservative for herbal lotion. We can use the preservatives like vinegar, and also some of the easily evaporated solvents you can use it as a preservative. Vinegar can be used for many of the lotions, and ethanol also in beyond 10% capacity or 9%, 3%. Alcohol, or isopropanol, and even butanol in 3%, 2% level. It can be added as a preservative in all lotions. Yes, madam.
Sir, the next question.
Yes.
Kindly suggest the best extraction method for seaweed.
Best extraction method for
Seaweed, sir.
Seaweed extraction. Okay, seaweed again is a wonderful source for medicinal properties. Seaweed, there are a number of seaweeds: green seaweed, or there is brown seaweed, red seaweeds. All these seaweeds, it has many number of properties, that is healing properties. If you see, select seaweeds, you can go for methanol and ethanol, and also chloroform. these three things are best. But as far as my point is concerned, methanol is best. We can choose methanol and ethanol. These two solvents are best for seaweed extraction.
So the next question, sir.
Yes, madam.
At what stage of cancer phytochemicals are useful to treat the disease and how much efficient they are?
Actually, all these phytochemicals, whatever it may be, polyphenolic compound, flavonoid, and anthocyanins, all these compounds. Firstly, they enter initiation, propagation. These are the stages of progression. These are the stages of cancer. Initiation, propagation, and progression. So all these phytochemicals, anthocyanin is a very good example for anti-cancer phytochemicals. That is, which is present in purple colored strawberries and also blueberries. So all these phytochemicals, it enters into the second part, is propagation stage, sometimes initiation stage. So mainly enters into it is propagation stage, second stage, and it kills and it arrests the cancer growth. Some phytochemicals enters into initiation stage, but very rarely. But all these phytochemicals enters into second part of the cancer, that is initiation, propagation, and progression. So these phytochemicals, some of the phytochemicals strongly enters into first stage, and anthocyanin is the best example for anti-cancer property. It enters into that is second stage. Yes, madam.
That's all, sir. Thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation and spending this valuable time with us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you for the organizers. Thank you for the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello. Venkat, sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. I call you back. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Venkat.